Moving on to a CNBC-TV18 exclusive, Etihad Airways CEO says Indian aviation traffic has the potential to double to 400 million passengers per year. Speaking to my colleague Madhiya Mujawar, he said Etihad has no further room to grow in the Indian market beyond the 176 flights per week due to the restricted access to Indian traffic. He said Etihad's flight from India having 80 to 90% load factor shows India has a demand-supply mismatch and has enough potential for more competition.
It's growing like 30%, right? 40% year on year. We are adding a lot of capacity. We have now 11 destinations in India. We have 175, which is 25 flights per day, right? 175 per week. So we now have used all the traffic rights that we have to India. I mean, we can't grow anymore in 2025, but we have no doubt, right? We want to grow more. So we understand this may take time, but I mean, it's doing extremely well. If you compare to 2022, early 2023, we doubled the capacity in India.
Okay, so 176 flights is the doubling of capacity as compared to 2022.
They were about 80. They were about 80.
You're saying you're utilizing the bilateral traffic rights in full. What is that? How many seats is that per week?
It's about 30,000 per week, about 30,000, 35,000 per week. If Etihad today, together with Air Arabia, is using all the seats that we had in the past, we're using all the seats that we had in the past, you see what I mean? So I cannot have more market share.
Yeah. You used 30,000 and you're using 30,000 even now.
Yeah, 50,000 together with Air Arabia. So 35,000 plus 15,000. Air Arabia has about 15, 12,000, right? But the point is 50,000. It's being used.
Yeah.
From
How much more do you want? How much more is your capacity?
We could have 20,000 more in the next 5 years. 20, 30,000. 20 to 30,000.
Air India and Indigo have upped their game. Do you see that competition posing a risk to further expansion of Etihad's presence in India?
I think the market is so big that I don't see that as a risk. I mean, if you think about it, right? I mean, the Indian market is 200 plus 220 million passengers per year, right? 200, 220. I mean, it's a big market, right? I mean, it's in the US. Right? I mean, you have 800 million passengers, right? I don't see any reason why India cannot go to 400 million passengers. My view is that supply and demand today is not balanced in India. So
what is the mismatch you see?
The mismatch is every flight I add to India, I get 85, 90% load factors. You see what I mean? So if I can add today more flights, it's because demand is not balanced.
So you feel that if there are more flights and you will still get 85, 95%?
Of course. No, I don't feel. I know that by a fact because I just added 50% capacity.
And it's all full?
And it's all full.
Yeah. So all flights have 90% plus load factor?
On average, yes. On average, yes. We're operating now at 85 this month. Yeah. I mean, but we get up to 90. Last week on Monday was 90% load factor. And what is the asset that nobody can buy today? And every airline is complaining is airplanes. So it's really a privilege for India to be in a position where India can say, look, you know that scarce resource that you have, which is an airplane? Bring to India.
What is your fleet outlook looking like? How many planes you're expecting to add this year or in the near future? And how much of that capacity you plan to deploy in your key markets? So
we have today about 92 planes. Our fleet plan is to get to about 170 planes, so about 60 planes more in the next, I would say, 5 to 6 years. It's going to be about 15 to 20 planes every year. So in the next 12 months, we're going to be adding 20 planes. It's a big number for an airline our size, right? It's about 15 to 30% growth. It depends on the year, depends on the delivery.
That's a 15 to 20% growth in your capacity.
Yes.
Yeah. So even if the government had to, did you have that capacity? You say you had.
I would shift. I would shift from other markets.
Is it that important India is?
It's a market that is growing.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. I would shift. All day long. Okay. Isn't that nice for India?
Very nice.
Don't you feel good?
I feel very good. And so the last question then, Antonaldo, would be, what other partnerships are you exploring? Etihad was the first airline, a foreign airline, to partner with an Indian airline, which was Jet Airways, to take a 24% stake through the FDI route. So are you exploring any such partnerships with any Indian carrier?
We could partner with all three major carriers that you have. Not major, but the two major carriers. We actually have an interline
Which is
agreement.
Air India, Indigo and
And Akasa, right?
Akasa.
And Akasa, we have an interline agreement with Air India. It's active.